Hey guys, just want to apologize if you already seen this video. This is a re-upload. The reason I re-uploaded is because I felt like I left out vital information that I needed to comment on. So once again, my apologies, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.
But one thing I can say for sure, this might be one of the worst 4-star items in the game. I hate it. I hate this weapon.
My boy, M-Tash. Oh my, listen. I understand your frustration. I understand where you're coming from of how you think this weapon is trash. But let me try to convince you otherwise. Hello everybody, my name's Harusam. I make waifu animated content, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Hakushin Ring and why I think it's a weapon that is not trash and you should actually get for your team, especially if you're going to be pulling for Raiden Shogun, aka Baal, or any type of future Electro characters, just like Yae Miko. In this video, I'm going to talk about all the Catalyst users that are able to use this weapon, as well as tips and suggestions for each of them. I'm also going to showcase simple rotations that you can use on a team, which in my example will be a Keqing, a C6 Beidou to lower the electro resistance, and a Bennett so that way he can increase our damage for our team. At the end, I will share my final thoughts on the weapon overall. And by the end of the video, I hope to convince you to give this weapon a try for your future electro team, whether you have Keqing or you're going to be pulling on Raiden or Yae Miko in the future. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So in this picture, we have all the Catalyst users in the game. Pretty funny that we don't have a male Catalyst user yet, but let's look at who can use this weapon. So we're only going to be able to get the damage boost from Electro reactions. We have Electro Charge, Overload, Crystallize, and Swirl. So looking at all these characters, most of them are 4 stars, which make it pretty F2P friendly for a lot of people, especially Lisa. Lisa's burst lowers the defense of enemies by 15%, and why not give her this weapon so she can give an extra damage boost to your other Electro characters when she casts her burst. Now I will say right now, Klee and Yangfei are kind of the characters that are lackluster in using this weapon because they're made more for a DPS, and you can use Klee as a support or Yangfei as a support. You can make it work, but it's going to be kind of weird with your rotations. You might as well use other characters that are on the screen like Sucrose, Mona, or Barbara that are supports. You might as well use them with this weapon to help you with your team. Another good thing about Lisa is since she's the only Electro Catalyst user that we have, if she causes an overload, she'll boost up the damage of your main Pyro DPS. If she causes an Electro Charge, she can boost up the damage of your main Hydro DPS. Doesn't have to be Mona or Barba, it can be also Child. And if she causes a Super Conduct, she can potentially boost up the damage for your main Cryo DPS as well, but I don't know how useful that is since Super Conduct is more for a physical team such as Eula or something like that. But it is possible. Mona is a great choice because her elemental burst already boosts up the damage for your team, so might as well add a little bit extra more with this weapon so that way she can give your team essentially a 70% damage boost depending on your talent level for Mona. And the good thing about this is that Mona's elemental burst has like a wide range. All she needs to do is trigger just one Electro Charge reaction in order to give that boost to herself and to your Electro characters. And if you guys use Barbara as a healer or as a support, she can actually cause an Electro Charge reaction with just casting her elemental skill, or you just slap them a little bit with water from far away just to trigger the elemental reaction, especially if you're healing up with her normal attacks. Sucrose is great because if you put a 4-piece Viridescent on Sucrose, you're able to lower the resistance by the enemies of the elements that you swirl. Sucrose is also good for crowd control and gathering up enemies with her elemental skill. So if you're going to use a swirl and lower the electro resistance of enemies, you might as well double dip and give your Electro characters that 10% damage boost from the weapon at R1 or 20% if you R5 it. You can use Ningguang as a support as well because if you put a 4-piece Archaic Petra on her, when she causes a Crystallize with an Electro element and you pick up the shard, you're going to give your team a 35% elemental damage boost because of the Archaic Petra, and you might as well give them an extra damage boost when you use the weapon. So at R1 you can give essentially your Electro characters a 45% elemental damage boost, and if you R5 the weapon, you can give your Electro characters a 55% damage boost, which is almost the equivalent of a level 9, level 8 Mona, which is pretty good in my opinion. And you might be thinking, 10%? That's so little. But the thing is, even if the damage boost only lasts for 6 seconds, it does not have a cooldown. And since when are we complaining against 6 seconds? Everyone uses Mona for her 5 seconds of Omen debuff. And I'm not talking about extending it with freeze control Mona or any type of freeze comp. Most of us like to use Mona on their team to boost damage for 5 seconds. And yeah, sure, you can argue that it's way more damage boosting, but what happens if you pair this with a Mona? And that's kind of the first character I want to show you.
This is how it must be.
So I like to start off this rotation with Bennett's ultimate. I like to cast an elemental skill with Beidou so that way the particles come in as soon as I do her burst. Make sure someone has Electro so that way Mona, when she casts her skill, causes an electro charge so we can get that damage boost from Mona and combine it all together with a Bennett, Mona, and then the damage boost from Hakushin Ring. And in here, I make sure that Mona causes an electro charge before I switch into Keqing for her burst. Once again, rinse and repeat, electro charge with Mona, and then go back and do like a plunging attack. And I don't need to use Bennett or anything because we're just going off a single enemy. And this group of enemies, again, Bennett, attack boost, Beidou, so we can get Electro on somebody, Mona cast Electro Charge with her burst, and give that 70% damage boost to Keqing, so that way she has it all whenever she's casting her burst and her charge attacks, and she just kills everything. And here's a good example in case like enemies are separated. We just need somebody to have Electro, and that's what we go with Beidou. We come back to the circle so we can give the damage boost to Keqing with Mona's ultimate burst and that elemental damage boost from the Hakushin Ring. Right here, I just gotta make sure that the enemy has Electro. So when we do an elemental skill with Ningguang, we make sure we pick up that crystal and then we switch into Keqing to take advantage of that elemental damage boost. And then we just go ham with the freaking charge attack until she freaking dies and drowns in her own freaking water. Once again, we start with Beidou, cast Electro on her. We get the crystal. Now we have the damage boost with Keqing. We go ham for those 6 seconds that Ningguang is giving us. And we try to finish off, but the stupid maiden just left us. So I got mad and I just freaking put Bennett and went on ham. I didn't care her health was low. I just went ham on her because she annoyed me that she left. Now I'm going to show you Sucrose. It kind of started off rough, but then we got a little groove right here. We got Beidou from the World Greystone proc. And then we swirled off Sucrose, lowered her resistance. You can tell by those arrows that were down, pointing down. Even if it's raining, we can still swirl Electro and lower her resistance and give that damage boost to Keqing. So that's pretty cool. We didn't even need Bennett's freaking circle. We were just doing so much damage. And I switched back to Sucrose so I can re-proc the Hakushin Ring elemental damage bonus. So once again, rinse and repeat, right? We get a swirl. You can see the 6-second timer on the clock. We go ham for a little bit with Keqing charge attacks, and then we kind of go ham at the end once again when the enemy has low health. But you can see how it's just an easy rinse and repeat. Sometimes they didn't want to use Bennett, so you can see just the power of just Sucrose and Keqing by themselves together. But right here we go with another Bennett overload. You already know the deal. Swirl. And the thing about that swirl is that we just used a normal attack. We didn't use her elemental skill because you just need one swirl. It doesn't matter. So right here I do 2 swirls so that way they can both have their electro resistance lowered. And then we just go ham with Keqing's normal attacks. Right here was a nice little grouping right here. We just did everything kind of perfectly. And then like they just died right now like whatcha. So it's pretty cool that we can lower that with Sucrose.
I charge a higher rate to meet outside the office.
I will say this about Lisa. When you cast her elemental burst, you don't cause an electro reaction with her initial burst damage. You kind of have to stand still for a little bit and wait for like an overload or whatever reaction in order for you to get the damage boost before you switch off of Lisa. But it can just be fixed by tapping the enemy with her auto attack and then switching off. So I try to get an overload right here so we can start the elemental damage boost, because we did lower the enemy's defense with Lisa and gave that damage boost to Keqing for those 6 seconds. Unfortunately, I kind of messed up and got hit by the Ruin Guard and I couldn't take advantage of the full thing. Right here I was just trying to set up a nice Bennett into overload with Lisa, normal attack. Kind of hesitated right here, but I tried to do the little combo with Keqing where we can go ham for those 6 seconds. And unfortunately, 6 seconds do go up real fast, so we weren't able to take advantage here. Right here, I'm showing the potential of maybe how you can use Yang Fei. I didn't really go into that much because I wasn't really comfortable with it, but it's possible. You can just, tap them with a little overload and boost up your Keqing if you want. Plus, it helps that double power on your team gives you an extra damage boost to your Keqing. Right here, we're testing it with Barbara. I was right here checking to make sure that the electro charge from her elemental skill did increase your damage, and it does. So you don't even have to tap with freaking Barbara. You can just do her elemental skill as long as you're close to the enemy, of course. But If you need to recast it, then you can just switch to her and cause some normal attacks, like if you're gonna heal up your team or something, and then just rinse and repeat. So even though I did enjoy these showcases, one thing I will say is that the character who's causing the electro reaction has to be on the field. For example, Mona, you cannot put her elemental skill and then switch off of her and expect the electro charge reaction to give you a damage boost, because it won't. Mona has to be on the field in order for it to give you the damage boost. It's the same way with the Favonius Codex. You don't get those elemental particles unless the character is on the field causing the critical hit, not off field. Another thing I want to say is, especially from an F2P perspective, is this worth me using the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer? And that's just going to depend on you and your rotations. The main difference between the Hakushin Ring and the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer is the cooldown. Obviously, the ring doesn't have any type of cooldown. You can proc it whenever you want and get it for those 6 seconds. And it's only going to increase 10% elemental damage bonus at R1. But if you somehow R5 it, even though that will cost you a little bit more resources, it's going to give you 20% elemental damage boost. So it depends on your team. Maybe you want more attack percent on your future Raiden, or on your Keqing, or on your future Yae Miko. And if you don't mind a 20-second cooldown, if that doesn't mess up your rotations, then go ahead and use that. But if there's a team where you're constantly switching, doing elemental skills, and you'll be consistently proccing that elemental damage boost not only for your main DPS, but for every electro character in your team. Just like in the footage you saw, I got the damage boost to my Keqing and to my Beta's ultimate. So the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer only goes to one character, but the Hakushin Ring can potentially give a damage boost to the whole team. It just ultimately depends on you. If I were to rank all the Catalyst users on who this weapon works for the best, I would put Sucrose and Mona at the top in order to boost your electro damage bonus. So those would be my top picks for number 1. Then I'd probably put Ningguang second, Lisa third, Barbara fourth, and I'd put Klee and Yangfei at the bottom because they're mainly for DPS instead of a support, but you could make it work. But overall, I still believe that this is one of the best weapons you can use to support your Electro team, especially if you're going to be pulling on the Raiden banner or saving for a future Yae Miko. I don't think this weapon is trash, guys. I think it's a really useful weapon, especially for the F2P players out there. It might not be the best DPS weapon, but for sure it's one of the best support weapons for your Electro team, and I really enjoy using it. I'm going to use it for my Mona whenever I get my Raiden team together. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to support the content. I love y'all so much. Remember, waifu over meta, and I'll see you in the next video.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone else is going to see the beauty in it.